let me ask your opinion on the movie. Sir, do you have an opinion? What's your opinion on Cheetos? No opinions at all. Ever. Not a thought behind those eyes.
All right, so we just finished Days of Being Wild from 1990, and this is the first time this happened with Criterion. The disc froze up at chapter 14, which is a very pivotal moment in the film. We had to kind of like fight our way to like frame scrub it a little bit to get through it.
I think we were able to piece together everything but maybe 5 minutes of the movie, roughly estimating.
Yeah, so once you get past chapter 14, the rest of the movie goes along. But there's a lot that happens in that one chapter. I did email Criterion, so hopefully we'll get a replacement disc. But I don't think that is necessarily influencing my opinion of the movie. I think, for me at least, I feel like I was able to piece together most of what was happening there. But the film is about Yuddy, right? How do you say his name?
It's about like 4 people in total. One of them being Yuddy.
And then the rest being the cast from
like
As Tears Go By.
Well, there was Mimi. She wasn't in As Tears Go By.
True.
They were all kind of how they were connected to Yuddy.
Yeah, and he basically finds out that his mom is not his mom, and so he wants to go find his mom in the Philippines. And I didn't like this one that much. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't either. There was like I guess there was development of the character, but I guess it just wasn't significant development. That's not even what I'm trying to say, but the development that was there felt extremely rushed, extremely forced. I didn't have any connection with any of the characters.
I guess I don't know if I'm blocking you from that black magic camera where I'm squished up here with Lim. Not to cut you off, I agree. I think development was there. I just didn't care about the characters that much in this one.
Well, I think part of the reason, because I also just didn't care, but part of the reason I think was because, just to use Yuddy and Mimi as an example, their entire storyline was literally just cuts. There was no development outside of them in that one apartment room. And it was literally like, here's one day, cut exactly to the next day, cut to the next day, cut to the next day. There was no development of them as a character outside of their interaction in that one apartment.
Yeah, everybody's kind of revolved around Yeti, but they're just the name. But it doesn't feel like there was no development and significance to why they're involved with Yeti. It's just like they just kind of happen to be there, and then you just kind of move on to the next point. And this one was an hour and 34 minutes, I think, is what this one was. And it was super long feeling. Like, I was pretty bored through most of the movie.
I was bored as well, but I didn't really think it felt super long. I was honestly surprised when we got to the end and I realized that we were only a couple minutes away from being finished.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like there's an ending, really.
There was no ending. The ending was really lackluster. And I mean, even like the big plot, what's the word I'm looking for? The big apex.
Climax,
thank you. The big climax was kind of a womp. It felt like the entire movie, there was barely a plot driving it, and then when it was time to resolve the plot, it just kind of was like, eh.
This feels like one of those, like, I wouldn't say coming of age, but one of those like soul searching movies, because he's like trying to find his real life parents, and he's got these people in his life and how he interacts with them and stuff, but none of it just felt that interesting. And like,
so it was a character driven movie with poorly developed characters.
That's what it feels like. That the whole soul searching aspect, like, just, I don't know, I felt like it went nowhere. Like, in all honesty, I just felt like it didn't really amount to anything. Maybe that's the point, but if that's the point, like, it just kind of makes for a boring experience.
No, I'll agree. I mean, even just looking outside of the characters, looking outside of the story, the visuals themselves, there was really nothing to catch your attention. Everything was really muted, somehow muted and oversaturated.
Yeah, like when we talked about As Tears Go By, one thing that I noticed that I really liked was the visuals because of where they filmed it at and everything like that. This film, I feel like, has better shot composition and maybe some better camera movement, but it's filming significantly less interesting visuals.
There was a color grading on it that was just really weird.
Like
everything
Michael Bay, like
everything was kind of
hypersaturation.
like greeny yellow.
Yeah.
So there was none of the, oh gosh, how did they describe it? None of the vivid colors that he's known for. It was literally everything was just like a green and yellow and beige.
Yeah, it was hyper saturated, and the locations and stuff they filmed in wasn't that like interesting or detailed. Like I said, like I feel like there's some better composition here. I feel like there's some better like camera movements. It feels as years go by, I felt a little bit more run and gun, a little bit more like, I wouldn't say low budget, more I guess more I don't know if I want to say amateurish because that sounds like a negative, but it kind of had that feel to it where
a little less skilled.
Yeah, where this film I feel like had the better side of that production, because there's also better sound design here. The Foley, sound effects, the vocals, the dialogue, and everything like that was a lot better in this movie. A lot less interesting, but a lot better. And I feel the same way with the visuals. It was a lot less. It was better technically, but a lot less interesting.
Well, almost all of the sets were either extremely tight, like one room, one train car, or train cart, car?
Caboose.
And when there wasn't like tight sets, it was extremely dark so that you didn't even see the sets. So anytime it wasn't extremely tight, it was just nighttime. And so it felt like everything felt a little underdeveloped.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time in apartments too.
The apartments and just outside of the apartment in an alley when it's pitch black.
Yeah, this one, like, the last movie kind of did, well, for one, I'd be a little biased because I love those kind of, like, crime movies, but, like, it was more, I'm not saying you can't have a movie without action, but there was more drama, I guess. There was more character growth and development. There was more pathways, stuff like that for characters to you follow them through. And then this movie just, I don't know, man. It just kind of felt aimless a little bit.
Well, I mean, I would agree with that because the only character development of any of the characters was literally just how they were connected to Yeti.
Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
I keep wanting to call him Yeti.
Me too.
Like what was her name? Mabel? The one that played the cousin.
Mimi. No,
Mimi was the second girl.
The second girl. So her name wasn't Mabel. It was like
Mabel was the first girl in the first movie.
It was like a 2-part name. It was like she Luna. I can't remember. Because they only say it like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, well, that girl who played the cousin in the first movie, the only things you know about her is that she was obsessed with Yeti, and she worked at the ticket booth. So the only time you ever saw her outside of Yeti's apartment was when she was in the ticket booth. There was literally not a single bit of development past that. And same with Mimi. All you knew about Mimi was that she was a dancer, and she was dating Yeti. And the only time you saw her without Yeti was getting ready to go dance.
Yeah, we see Fly from the first movie comes back. The guy who plays Fly, I can't remember what his name was in this movie. And his whole character arc was he just fell for Mimi. He got all of Yeti stuff. Yeah, he got all Yeti stuff, wanted to be Yeti. and then that was it. And then you don't even see like the last time you see him's like halfway through the movie, and you never see him again. Like they're just like, I don't know, I didn't feel like you got anything out of any of the characters. And then when the climax happens and you see the credits roll, you're just like, okay.
It could have been better had Yeti been better developed or been even a more likable character. Because you can do a likable jerk, and it just felt like he was kind of...
It's kind of just a douche, the whole movie.
Yeah, he was a jerk, and he had no likable characteristics. And I mean, even when he was going on this big find myself kind of adventure, he just gave up. And so there wasn't even that perseverance to him. He was kind of a waste of a main character.
Yeah, and this is a movie too where I can't really say much because we still got several movies to go in this box set of Wong Kar-Wai, but this to me felt like it had no directorial style. This to me felt like it could have been directed by anybody else out of Hong Kong, and you wouldn't have known a difference. It's very bland in a lot of ways.
Outside of the actors, I'd say the only thing this had in common with the first movie we watched, As Tears Go By, was it had that very dramatic kind of over-the-top music. But it didn't even utilize it the same as As Tears Go By.
This one was less synthy and more like tropically sounding.
But it was still really done in such a dramatic, over-the-top way.
Very Magnum P.I.E.
Yeah, but they didn't utilize it as much.
No, there's hardly any music in this movie, really.
No,
at least that I remember.
I remember there being some in the beginning, and I remember thinking that it was very similar to the music used in the first movie. Mm-hmm. But other than that and the characters, it really felt like I would never have guessed this was the same person, the same director.
No, yeah, I don't think I would either. One for one, because this is one that if Criterion sends a new disc, I might be willing to check out again just because of the disc issues. But then again, like I said, we kind of went through and tried to piece together the part that was, and it's probably about like 5 minutes or so of like corrupt data on the disc, which the disc is clean, so it just must be a printing error. But I feel like we can piece together because like it freezes right to the point where they, spoiler, get the passport. Then it freezes until all hell breaks loose.
Which, I mean, maybe we missed very important dialogue, but I don't see anything that could have been said within that scene that would have been like a tide turn for the movie.
I don't think there's anything that we missed in that section that would change my opinion on this movie not being a 4 out of 10.
That seems harsh.
It does seem harsh, but I
was still debating my rating. So when you said 4 out of 10, I was like, dang.
And I went from 8.5 to a 4. I really didn't care much for this movie. I was super bored through the majority of the movie. I had hardly anything gripping onto me.
I would probably give it a 5. I, at the beginning, was really hopeful about Tide and the cousin in the first movie because I don't remember her name. I was really hopeful about where their story was going to go. But it went nowhere. So I have to give it a 5 because it was just really middle of the road.
This is one of those movies where it's like maybe down the road I wouldn't mind giving it a second chance. But it's going to have to be really down the road. And I don't know. It gave me nothing. And it's one of those movies I know in a couple weeks it's not even going to retain anything in my head. It's like nowhere near on the same level to me as Tears Go By, which I thought was fantastic. So, little weird start because like the last box that I did with Shinya Tsukamoto, I loved all of them pretty much, and it wasn't until like that middle section where it kind of dipped for me. This one, he made this only 2 years after, so pretty close to the last movie. But let's get one of those toxic wastes.
Actually, I already have them in my pocket, so we wouldn't have to fumble.
Well, fumble and package is content.
Huh?
Fumbling package is content.
I got the watermelon flavor.
Let's see if this is worse. We should give one to Lim.
Oh gosh, no.
All right.
Hold on. I'm still trying to get mine out.
It's as green as the apple one almost.
Yeah. Okay. Clink.
It's getting you, ain't it? But up next is Chungking Express, right? Did I say that right this time? Which is the only movie of his I knew about going into this box set. These aren't that sour to me.
Oh, mine was really sour.
These are actually less than like Warheads in my opinion to me.
This one faded away faster on the outside, but it was very sour to me.
I think this one's more sour than apple, but I don't think it's like awful or anything. Now I have a feeling like the black cherry or that like is there a blue raspberry? I feel like those are gonna suck.
And a mystery flavor.
It's probably lemon.
There's a lemon flavor already.
Oh, is there?
It was the first. No, wait, it was apple that
Yeah, we tried apple first, but Chungking Express, which is the only movie of his I knew about. I actually just found this out when I was looking at his IMDb page. He did The Grand Master, which was the please correct me if I'm wrong, but the American version of IP Man or Ip Man. So I will have to check out another one of his films for if I ever do that Ip Man video series video or whatever. But yeah, so Chungking Express is next, which I think is considered one of his best, maybe. I don't know.
I have no clue.
Hopefully it's better.
Good boy.
Ta-da.
I feel like we just spent too long bragging on that movie.
I don't care. I didn't like it.